Howdy Hubbard, Video of the Damned, Morbidly Beautiful Network. You know we've been on the Terrifier bandwagon since the beginning. Well, almost the beginning. The beginning was actually The Ninth Circle in 2006, a short film we're going to talk a lot about in this Terrifier 3 review. You may also know the 2011 short Terrifier. That was the prototype for the first Terrifier feature. Damien Leone took his 2006 Ninth Circle, his 2011 Terrifier short, shot a new Alien short, and combined it all with some wraparounds featuring original art actor Mike Gianelli in the 2013 anthology All Hallows Eve, which ends with, and this is important for later, a babysitter finding the kids she's watching decapitated and dismembered by Art. 2016 brought the first feature with David Howard Thornton in the Art the Clown character, Terrifier. I'm proud to say that I was present for David and Damien's first horror convention appearance, which happened to be in Phoenix, Arizona. This photo, though, is from their return a few years later for Terrifier 2. Art the Clown was already an icon within the horror community, but it was really Terrifier 2 that brought him to mainstream attention. You can see my in-depth review of Terrifier 2 here on the Morbidly Beautiful Network, and while I won't be giving major spoilers for Terrifier 3, the following review does assume you've at least seen the first two features. And if you know me, you know I don't want to give you the exact same review that everybody has already given you. I mean, I'll quickly hit a couple of common talking points. We know Lauren LaVera is brilliant. We know David Howard Thornton is brilliant. You may be pleased to hear that Elliot Fulham gives an amazing performance as a much more subdued Jonathan Shaw. And you may remember Terrifier 1's final girl, Samantha Scafidi, returning as Victoria in the mid-credits scene in Terrifier 2. Now you get to see more of this new incarnation of the character with Scaffidy's haunting performance. You already know that the effects, the gore, the kills are kicked up a bunch of notches. If you saw the teaser trailer or you've heard the scuttlebutt about the first 10 minutes, then you know they're tackling taboos head on. But with no spoilers, I'll repeat myself again. The end of All Hallows Eve was a babysitter finding kids decapitated and dismembered by Art the Clown. So nothing should come as a real surprise anymore. I will say that there is a lot more in this installment that is aftermath rather than in the act. And that's been criticized. In fact, there's some people who think, quote, scenes are missing. That might actually be true. Leone says there's stuff he didn't shoot and stuff that he had to take out, just to keep the running time closer to 2 hours. We should have seen Sienna return to the Terrifier carnival attraction. We don't get to see that. But I'm still okay with the pace of this movie. I'm still okay with what we do end up getting to see. You've probably already heard about the references: The Shining, Black Christmas, Psycho, maybe Texas Chainsaw Massacre because it's a chainsaw. But there's even Easter eggs for the longtime Terrifier fans going back to the short films. My personal favorite was the possum stuffy. Like Fulci, Leone loves his set pieces. Perhaps he's even of that Fulci school of thought. Let's design the kills and then create story around it. But I would still say that story is important to Leone. He uses non-linear storytelling and even like flashbacks within dream sequences, but he is going to deliver you a narrative. You might just have to work a little harder to follow along. I want to tell you, you don't need to stick around for a mid-credit scene or post-credit scene, but you should stay around for the Terrifier Christmas Carol that plays over the credits. And from this point forward, I want to delve into some deeper themes or my interpretation of some things going on. Some of this may be considered spoilers, especially because Damien Leone and Lauren LaVera have let me know in the past that I usually get these things right, so proceed with caution. While the first Terrifier feature was a proof of concept slasher, and Terrifier 2 had these motifs of spoiled food and paranoia and the real threat walking around in broad daylight, Terrifier 3 is about not feeling safe anywhere and worrying about not being able to protect the ones you love. It's important to look at the escalation of violence and death as not just a gimmick for audiences. It's actually an important theme. It's actually an important part of the mythology. The Terrifier 2 novelization hints at Art being able to push people beyond their limits of pain and fear. And it's a lot more explicit in Terrifier 3 about why he and the forces behind him are doing that. It's not about looking into his eyes and seeing what evil is behind them. It's about him seeing the pain and the fear behind your eyes. You're not going to believe this, but Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation actually covered similar ground. But more important than that, Bob in Twin Peaks. In fact, we are going for the religious and the metaphysical in a very Lynchian way, and Damien Leone himself will tell you that. But demonology and hell in the lore of Terrifier goes back to the original short film, The Ninth Circle, which there are Easter eggs for in this picture. And this is where I'm going to get into my interpretation. I think this series, Terrifier 4 is headed into full Dante's Inferno mode. Of course, referring to the first part of Dante Alighieri's poem, The Divine Comedy. I think Sienna's visits to the Clown Cafe represent limbo. The second circle is lust, which may be represented by the shower scene or something that I can't describe that happens with Victoria at some point. The third circle of hell is gluttons, and, there is a lot of food talk, like I've said, in Terrifier 2 and some in Terrifier 3, although Leone told me himself, and it might just be that he's Italian. I think the true crime podcasters in Terrifier 3 may represent the fourth circle, greed, because they really want those ratings. Sienna's wrath may represent Circle 5. Her emotions around what has happened to her friends and family play a very important part in this installment. And if you think Art the Clown disguising himself as Santa Claus is heresy, well, let me tell you, you've hit the sixth circle, and I promise you, it gets much, much worse. The seventh circle is violence. Come on, that's a gimme. We can move on. Without spoiling things, I'll say that Vicky isn't always the most reliable narrator, and it even has aspects of the ending still in question. And this might give us the eighth circle, fraud. That leaves us to the namesake of the first Art the Clown short film, The Ninth Circle. This is for the treacherous, the betrayers, the oath breakers, and it is in fact the center of hell where Satan himself lives. And people are getting gnawed on here. Who else do you know who gnaws on their victims? But I'll put all those theories into hibernation for now. It's going to be a while before we see Terrifier 4. And in the meantime, you should go see Terrifier 3, the #1 movie in the country. There's a lot of dudes with beards and horror opinions on YouTube. I appreciate you giving any attention to me. I'm on social media at Brody Hubbard. This is the Morbidly Beautiful Network. Thanks for watching Video of the Damned.